Good morning, Peterborough. My name is Jim Taub, and it is time for your Sports Break, broadcasted through the facilities of Trent Radio on 92.7 C-Triple-FM here in Peterborough, Canada. This show, of course, can be streamed online at trentradio.ca, or you can follow what we're talking about on Twitter at SportsBreakTR. The weather outside today is kind of iffy. It's like a 0. I would say it feels a little warmer than 0, like a 2 degrees. I don't know. Not a nice day, I'll be all honest. It looks kind of crappy out with the rain. Like, it rained all night, and we got a little bit of snow left over, so it's like that, and just not the nicest day, I'll be completely honest. It's nice that it's not cold. If you don't like the cold, there you go. I like the cold, so, again, not a nice day. But it's a beautiful day to talk about sports, ladies and gentlemen. Find me a day that's not a beautiful day to talk about sports, and I'll tell you you're wrong. Because every day is a great day to talk about sports. And this weekend kind of stereotypically was a great weekend for sports. Let alone just the fact that, like, it's Super Bowl weekend. So some would say it's a super weekend for sports, ladies and gentlemen. No. If you watched the Super Bowl, of course, it was Sunday. The New England Patriots won their 6th Super Bowl. Tom Brady winning his 6th Super Bowl, becoming the all-time leader in Super Bowl wins in the NFL. Only player to have 6 Super Bowl wins. An amazing feat. Kind of solidifies who Tom Brady is. Of course, they beat the LA Rams. The final score was 13-3. It was probably the most boring football game I've ever watched. And I don't watch a lot of football, I'll be honest. I pretty much just watch the Super Bowl every year. A bit of the playoffs, but that was probably one of the worst football games I'd ever seen. And it just dragged on. And we're going to talk about it here, but like, we'll just get into it now. The halftime show was just terrible. It was Maroon 5, so it would have been a great halftime show for like 5 years ago when I thought Maroon 5 was relevant. I know a lot of people I know, as the game was approaching, were like, who's playing the halftime show? And I'm like, Maroon 5. And they go, oh, why would it be Maroon 5? It's a great question. I don't know. I feel like Maroon 5 didn't know why they were there. They really performed. I'm trying to think there was the Big Boy was the other guy that was there. He was on screen for literally like 5 seconds. And Travis Scott was another one who was there. I just didn't find it was entertaining. The commercials this year weren't even that good, I thought. The NFL had a great one for their 100th season, which I believe is upcoming. Getting a bunch of old, I shouldn't say old, superstars, past and present, into a room and like funny little commercial that way. Pepsi had good commercials, of course. The Bud Light one with Game of Thrones. Bud Light making fun of Coors Light. Budweiser, of course, with the Clydesdales, saying that they only run off wind power now. Bunch of car commercials. There was one with Harrison Ford and a dog and Amazon. Just commercials. Nothing crazy. Nothing like last year. Last year was the year of the Tide Pod. Excuse me. And they advertised that the whole time. Like, this is not a Tide ad. I don't know if you remember that. Last year's Super Bowl was also completely more interesting. But yeah, no, this was just like a defense Super Bowl. So if you really liked watching football and defense, this was your Super Bowl, and you were living life. For the rest of the people who watch the Super Bowl and actually, 1, care about football and not just the commercials, and 2, love offense, you didn't get a whole lot. You got field goals. You got 2 field goals, 1 for each team. Sorry, I got to do quick math here. Two for the Patriots, 1 for the Rams. The Rams missed 1. Patriots missed 1 too. Although, of course, it's been a thing in the past couple NFL seasons that everyone misses field goals, and everyone freaks out like, oh, it's so easy. You just kick the ball. It's literally, I don't know. I have this argument with people a lot of time. It's arguably one of the hardest things to do in sports. Is kick a field goal. I think, at least. You can't control the weather around you. I know it's in a dome. You can't control the humidity in the dome. That's a thing. I know it's a thing at the Rogers Center. You can't control how the ball's going to come out of the snap. I'm going to call him a holder. I don't know the actual name. Is going to hold the ball. If you slip while you go to kick it, if it doesn't hit your shoe right, a little bit of moisture on your shoe, a little bit of moisture on the ball, you just don't know. And anything could happen. It could get blocked, it could get tipped. Nothing got blocked or tipped in the Super Bowl, of course, but it's like this. The famous Chicago Bears one, the double doink, where it hit the side pole and then hit the bottom and bounced out. Field goals are just unpredictable and they're hard to do. And there's a reason that people get paid a lot of money to do it, and they don't always succeed. And that's that. But no, the game in itself, I'm trying to make the game sound interesting. It just wasn't interesting. It was, a veteran Patriots team against the Rams, who hadn't been there in a long time, and for it to only combine for 16 points, it set the record for the lowest score in Super Bowl. No kidding. It just wasn't worth it. Like, to watch the whole Super Bowl, I didn't find it worth it. I'm sure if you're a Patriots fan, you loved it because you won. New England took the 3-0 lead at halftime. And like, I legitimately thought the game was going to end 3-0. It just looked that way. And then the Rams tied it, and I was like, oh my lord, we have a shootout now. Each team's just going to kick field goals to win. And then, of course, Tom Brady being Tom threw it to Gronk a couple times, got passes, threw it to Edelman, and then got the field goal with Michelle right through the middle. But yeah, it just, I don't know how else to describe it. In my opinion, wasn't a great Super Bowl. A lot of people have said the same thing, and it just, there's nothing else to say about it. For Tom Brady, it's his 6th. Kind of solidifies his GOAT status. Don't bring up his GOAT status, though. He hates that. He hates when people call him GOAT. But for, like, Julian Edelman and the Patriots, Julian Edelman, of course, won the MVP of the Super Bowl. He caught 10 passes for 141 yards in the 13-3 win. He joins a bunch of great wide receivers to win the Super Bowl MVP. Jerry Rice, Deion Branch, and of course Julian Edelman, now 2nd in playoff receptions behind Jerry Rice. He's only the 7th wide receiver to win the Super Bowl MVP and the 1st in 10 years. Of course, like, it was great for Edelman. He's become Brady's go-to guy now with Gronk kind of not being Gronk anymore. We don't know what's going to happen with Gronk. I got a clip here of Tom Brady kind of discussing his 6th Super Bowl win, what it means to him. And after the game, if you watched the game and the ceremonies afterwards, you wonder, like, does this mean anything to Tom Brady anymore? Like, he just keeps winning. And the look on his face, he looks at his kids, kisses kids on the mouth, because that's what that's what he does. That's a Tom Brady thing. Kissed Robert Kraft on the mouth too. I know you're excited, but keep it in your pants, Tom. He just looks excited. Like, he almost want, like, people. I've heard the narrative like Tom Brady does this for the money. I don't believe that at all. If you see the way Tom Brady acts after he wins, he immediately gives the trophy to his kids. Geez, sorry, I'm yawning. I'm thinking about the Super Bowl and I'm really bored, and it's making me yawn. He gives the Super Bowl trophy to his kids, the Heisman Trophy, and the Vince Lombardi Trophy. Sorry, the Heisman Trophy is college football. The Vince Lombardi Trophy, he gives it to his kids, and they love seeing it. Well, they've grown up with it, but they see it, and it just lights Tom up. And for Tom to see his teammates win, whether it's Edelman, Gronk, the linebacker, anyone on the team win, he's congratulating them, and he loves it. When the game immediately finished, instead of talking to the media or celebrating, he went to pretty much as many people as he could on his team and congratulated them and said, good job, like, thanks for what you did, you helped us win. I went to the Rams and said, like, you played good, it's not your fault, try again, it'll be better next year, essentially. Just being a good guy, Tom Brady. And you don't hear that often about Tom Brady, or at least I thought he was being a good guy about it. He, of course, could have been, like, smug and just started celebrating, but he took his time out and tried to make everyone, like, feel special. Because that's, like, yeah, he's one of the best, and he's going to go down as one of the best. And for people to share that moment with him, I can only imagine they'll remember it like, hey, we won the Super Bowl, but also I got to talk to Tom Brady afterwards. Of course, if you're on Tom Brady's team, you got to talk to him. But like, you'll remember that Tom Brady, the guy with the most Super Bowl wins, the player with the most Super Bowl wins, congratulated you, which is absurd. And we're just gonna play the quick clip here of Tom Brady discussing his 6th Super Bowl win.
Number 6, man. Talk about it.
I can't believe it, man. This is, what a year. Just so proud of this team. I mean, how about our defense, man? How about our defense? They played unbelievable, challenged all these plays, and we had finally a touchdown drive there in the fourth quarter. It took us a while, but, you know, you got to grind it out and find a way. We did that against KC. We did it against San Diego or LA, and then obviously tonight. All different teams, all different styles, but world champs, man. It's pretty unreal.
You talked about finding different ways to win. We talked about it's not always about you, it's about your teammates.
Hell yeah.
About everybody as a team coming together for the biggest moments, man. You just talked about that.
Yeah.
Talk about at halftime what you guys say when the game was just 3-0.
Yeah, it was tough. You know, we just couldn't make the big play, and we couldn't stay on the field on third down, and we just knew we had a whole half to go, and the defense set the tone. And they held them. We got some good field position for them, and you know, they held them, and finally the kind of broke through a little bit in the fourth quarter, which was good. We needed that.
Tom, this is my last one. We talked about it in a sit-down when we did the interview.
Yeah.
You're the only player in NFL history to ever put on a uniform to win 6 Super Bowl championships. How does that feel, man?
You know, it probably won't sink in for a very, very long time, but I'm just so blessed to play with the best teammates through the years, from our 01 team and all the way through to now. And I love all those guys. That's what makes it special, man. It's the brotherhood. And all these relationships are so important in my life. And I just, you know, I can't cherish it enough. And it's going to be a good celebration tonight.
I'll see you at the party. You're the GOAT, man. Congratulations, Tom, on your 6th Super Bowl championship, baby.
Love you, man.
Great little interview there. After the Super Bowl win for Tom. Of course, Tom and Edelman, Julian Edelman, pulled the famous, "We're going to Disney World," after they won, and they went to Disney World yesterday. And it was some great video came out of that, great photos of Tom Brady and Julian Edelman, these monsters. Well, not Julian Edelman, he's kind of tiny, but he looks scary with his beard, going to Disney World and just living life. That would be amazing. You go to Florida, you go to Disney, and you're strolling down downtown Disney, Main Street Disney, not downtown Disney. It's different, very different. Downtown Disney is its own place. In Magic Kingdom, though, I believe it's, I gotta look it up now. Main Street Disney? I know this has nothing to do with sports, but this is gonna bother me the rest of the show, so I have to figure it out. But it would just be weird. You're on your family vacation, and there's Tom Brady and Julian Edelman. I thought you guys won the Super Bowl yesterday. And then, they're just at Disney. It's Main Street, USA, Walt Disney World. Now, if you go to Walt Disneyland, I can't help you because that's in California, and it's not as good as one in Orlando. Proven fact right there. Now, for Tom Brady, of course, he did get his ice cream treat Mickey Mouse ears and his Mickey Mouse ears to wear on top of his helmet. He has a decision to make, of course, at the age that he is. He has to decide whether he's going to come back or not. He's 41 years old. I remember we talked last year on this show about whether Tom Brady was going to come back. Ridiculed a bit for talking about that. I have been. Sorry, that sounded like Yoda. I've been ridiculed for talking about Tom Brady not coming back last season. This season, of course, he's older, so you can ask the same question. But Tom, before the game, made sure that he said that there's a good chance he's coming back after, if he wins or not. And immediately after winning the Super Bowl, he said he's returning for 2019. He said, and I quote, "It doesn't change anything," as confetti fell. He says he plans to attempt to play until he's 45 years old, which would be insane. He, of course, has led the Patriots to Super Bowl victories in 3 of the last 5 seasons. So he's got 4 more. I'm trying to do the math there. So if he had 5 more, it'd be 3. So he could win 2.5 more Super Bowls. That was some pretty quick math there. Yeah, not a big deal. And of course, his battery partner there, Rob Gronkowski. Rob Gronkowski. I really butchered that name. We talked about it last year, of course, with the injuries and the loss too adds to it about him retiring. And this year, tight end Rob Gronkowski wasn't what he was or ever has been. He's been injured a lot. Jeez, sorry, that's my phone dropping. He just hasn't been as good as he used to be. And, of course, he's endured major injuries throughout his career. He's had a lot of surgeries. This was his least productive year. But it's also, he had an amazing playoff. Like, he was great for the Patriots as a blocker on the run game. And then, like, a great target for Brady. He caught 6 or 7 targets for 87 yards, including the clutch, of course, 29-yard reception that set up the game's only touchdown. Gronk has kind of not talked about his retirement at all on the media or to anyone. He just like, I don't know if he ever wants to leave, but he's the one that wouldn't surprise me. He just doesn't look like the player he used to be. He can't play like he used to, and now maybe he's going to just take the role that he did in the playoffs here and go for that and try to go with that for a while. But who knows? I would love to see, of course you never want to see the best players retire, but if they're not playing to their level and it hurts them more to play than it does to not, you don't want them to play. So here at SportsBreak, we wish Rob Gronkowski the best. If he retires, he retires. We'll definitely talk about it. He's one of the greatest. He is the greatest tight end of all time. It's as simple as that. There's no one better. He is amazing. He's just amazing. He was amazing. Like, he's 8 feet tall. He's actually 6'6". He's thick and hard to move. You're just not beating Gronk. And when he was at his prime, he was one of the best. And it sounds like I'm burying Rob Gronkowski. He's not dead yet. He's not retired yet. But I wouldn't be surprised if he said the next 2 weeks we'd have a decision. Wouldn't be surprised if it's that's it. And he retires on top with the Vince Lombardi trophy. But we will wait to see on that. Now, a team without the Vince Lombardi trophy, the LA Rams, I can only imagine what it's like to lose at the Super Bowl, to lose on a stage like that. And head coach Sean McVay he came out right after the Super Bowl and said, I got out-coached. This was on me. This entire loss was on me. The Rams only managed 3 points in the loss, and they had one of the best offenses going into the game. He said they were just never able to get enough rhythm offensively, and they weren't as good as they could have been, obviously. 33-year-old coach said the pain of losing hasn't set in yet. And I quote, I'm almost numb. They did a great job, but it was mostly a result of me doing a poor job calling plays and not giving us a chance to win. I don't know how you ever get over this. And for a head coach for a Super Bowl, I can only imagine what that's like to lose, especially if you lose to a guy like Bill Belichick. You almost just go, well, he's the best. He's done this before. This is his 6th time. And I don't know if you can chalk it up to that. Because for the next couple of years, as long as Brady and Bill Belichick are still in the NFL, that's going to be your excuse if you lose, as well. It's Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. I can't do anything. I'm not trying to play devil's advocate for Sean McVay. I don't know enough about the NFL to say whether he did a good job coaching or not. Obviously, if they only got 3 points, he didn't do a good enough job coaching. That's what I'm going with. If your team couldn't muster a touchdown against the New England Patriots, whose defense was good. They have a good defense. Of course, they made it to the Super Bowl, but it's not great. And they had a great offensive line against the Rams, but you gotta score a touchdown. It's the Super Bowl. You gotta play better than that. And the quarterback, Jared Goff, for the Rams, took the blame off Sean McVay and he said he's shouldering it for himself. He said, what really stinks for me, especially as a quarterback, is that our defense played so well, and I wasn't able to deliver. It was me, it was our offense, and I couldn't do my part. And he says we needed 2 touchdowns. That's all it was. They didn't need 30 points. They just needed 2 touchdowns to win, and it would have been that. They just couldn't get it. Couldn't do it. Goff, of course, threw the interception at the end of the game. They kind of sealed the deal for the Patriots. If they would have scored a touchdown there, they would have won. Of course, they would have been in the lead, but give the ball back to Tom. And they did. They give the ball back to Tom, and You can't give Tom Brady the ball with 4 minutes left and expect to win if you're not the Patriots. If you're not the Patriots and you give Tom Brady the ball with less than 5 minutes left and a chance to win the game, he's going to win the ball game because it's Tom frickin' Brady, and he's the best of all time. And it's as simple as that. It's just you can't give the best player of all time, the GOAT, the chance to win because he will win. That's why he's the best. Now, if you're Goff, you look back at this, you watch the tape, and you figure out what the hell you did wrong. And you're trying to learn, and you hope that you're going to go back to a Super Bowl someday so you could redeem yourself. Because if you don't, that's all you're going to be known for. All you're going to be known for at the Super Bowl is 3 points. And you didn't contribute in those 3 points. He's not the kicker. He didn't kick the field goal. He just got them there. So you got them within the field goal zone. Good for you. That's all you did in the Super Bowl. I'm not trying to be rude, but it was just a poor performance. It's left a sour taste in my mouth, and I don't really care about the Los Angeles Rams enough. But one thing I did notice the whole game, and it was pointed out a lot, was Todd Gurley. Didn't play very much in the playoffs for the Rams. Didn't play very much in the Super Bowl. He rushed 10 times for 35 yards. That's it. He touched the ball just 5 times in the NFC Championship and gained 13 yards. There was talks about injuries in the game, whether he was hurt and just didn't play. I wonder if he's hiding an injury. It's kind of what's being rumored. But he was an amazing running back this year. One of the best. And you're just going to sit him? You need him to win. I'm not going to say with Todd Gurley and they would have won, but they probably would have won. He's one of the best running backs in the league. And for him not to be injured, you don't know. Maybe he is injured and they're just hiding it. Or maybe it's something personality-wise. But if it's the freaking Super Bowl, you put the personality issues aside and you just let him run the football. Because it's the freaking Super Bowl and you want to win. I don't know. We're going to find out in the next couple of days here probably about what's up with Gurley. But for me, I just can't believe that this is even considered of why he didn't play. If he's injured, that's fine. Don't play him. Don't dress him then. If he can't play, if he can get 10 touches, that's it, and barely contribute, he shouldn't have dressed. Get another running back in there that can dress and can play and help you win a Super Bowl. Because he didn't do that. He's not the main reason they didn't win a Super Bowl, but it didn't help. Not even close. The Score released an article here just to try to get off angry there or frustrated. It's just disappointed. I'm just glad I didn't spend $5,000 to go watch the Super Bowl for that. I would have been severely disappointed. You go to watch the Super Bowl, you're expecting Tom Brady, Jared Goff to light it up, a shootout. You're expecting Maroon 5. I don't know what you're expecting with Maroon 5. It's going to be music. Perfect time to go to the washroom, I think, for Maroon 5, honestly. And if you get a 13-3 game, I would be rattled. I would be like, I just spent $5,000. I just spent like a year's rent. For me, at least. It's a house divided by 5 people. It's cheap rent, not a big deal. You spent a year's rent to go watch a football game that sucked. And you got nothing to show for it. Unless you're a Patriots fan, then your team won. If you were a Rams fan and you paid for that, I just don't know. I would feel terrible. That would be a huge waste of money. But for next year's Super Bowl, we'll look forward to that. They have already started releasing the odds for next year's Super Bowl winner. Of course, the draft, free agency, scheduling, coaching, this, that, can change it. But right now, the Bears are favored at plus 1,650. The Indianapolis Colts are favored the same. And the Pittsburgh Steelers are favored at 2,200. The only reason I bring this up is because it's literally the Steelers. The future bets were taken from Bet Online and Bet DSI. Always, it's from Vegas, I'm assuming. Of course, the Steelers, it's the whole thing with Le'Veon Bell, probably going to leave. Antonio Brown, reportedly requesting a trade and wanting out. It'll be interesting to see what the Steelers do for next season. But that's the Super Bowl. If you watch the Super Bowl, I apologize. You didn't get much entertainment on Sunday night. Hopefully you had a good Super Bowl party and you had friends there that you enjoyed spending time with. Because for me, that was the only thing that made the Super Bowl worthy, was being around friends. Other than that, it sucked. Plain and simple. The only thing that mattered was the last 2 minutes. It was like a basketball game. The only thing that mattered was the last minute or so, last couple minutes, and it didn't even matter. Patriots had the ball for the last couple seconds. The Rams missed a field goal at the end of the game to even get close, and it left a sour. I don't know. I'm not going to say anymore. There's nothing more to say. There's nothing more I can say about it. It just wasn't a great Super Bowl, and I hyped it up. I don't know if I hyped it up on the show, but in person, I hyped it up to a lot of people, and I said, this Super Bowl is going to be amazing. It's Tom Brady. It's Jared Goff. 2 really good teams. And it was 2 really good defenses. That was it. So like I've said a couple times here, if you like defense, this was your Super Bowl. You're like living life right now. You're like, that was amazing. PVR that, honey. We're going to watch that every day. If you're like most people and you like offense or just a good football game, that sucked. And yeah, it just sucked. Now transitioning to the NHL, where we usually start the show, but of course Super Bowl takes a little bit of priority over everything else. There was a big trade last week we didn't get to talk about because it occurred on 4 days ago. It occurred 4 days ago, which I believe was Thursday. Yeah, or Friday. The Pittsburgh Penguins traded forward Derek Brassard and Riley Sheehan to the Florida Panthers in exchange for forwards Nick Bjugstad and Jared McCann, and I believe 2 draft picks were also included. Doesn't have that on the here it is. Are sending a 2nd-round pick and 2 4th-rounders, all in the 2019 draft, to the Florida Panthers. That includes the pick that the Penguins gave up for Jamie Alexiak and then got back for Jamie Alexiak. That little funny trade there. But both Brassard and Sheehan are set to become unrestricted free agents at the season's end. Now, neither have had strong seasons for the Penguins. Of course, Sheehan's not known for his scoring abilities, but Brassard had been pretty good. It wasn't performing in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh just trying to get better and younger. Bjugstad, of course, is 26. Spent most of his time on the wing, but he's a good centerman. Jared McCann from my Stratford, Ontario. It's right near me, right next door. He's have 18 points in 46 games. Of course, he was a first-round pick of Vancouver in 2014, but got traded to Florida in the Eric Goodbranson deal. I think this is a really good move for Pittsburgh, getting younger down the middle, getting kind of depth that they need, and depth under contract. They're both under contract for, I believe, 3 years at least, whereas the Florida Panthers get Brassard and Sheehan, who, at the end of the season, if they don't sign them, they can just move on. And they're not losing a whole lot of value there because they don't need them on the team. And the Panthers right now are in just kind of a different area right now where they're not making the playoffs, but they still could because the East right now is trash. And pretty much anyone could make the playoffs. I'm just going to pull up the standings here while we go through this. But there's been a rumor fired up from a lot of people that the Panthers are trying to go for Sergei Bobrovsky and Artemi Panarin from the Columbus Blue Jackets. And for a team that really has never had a star other than like Roberto Luongo, this would be huge for Florida. Right now, Florida currently sits 9 points out of the second wildcard spot and 14 points out of the third spot in the Atlantic Division. So I don't know if they're going to make it this year. Actually, now looking at that, they're probably not going to make the playoffs this year. I know it's completely early, but you never know. They've played one less game than the Columbus Blue Jackets, which the thing that amazes me is Columbus is still in a playoff spot, but it's talking about selling, and it's because Artemi Panarin and Sergei Bobrovsky are UFAs at the end of the season. 2 amazing stars. Well, I should say 2 stars. I don't know if they're amazing anymore. Sergei Bobrovsky kind of shot himself in the foot with his attitude and the way he's been playing. But for the Florida Panthers to bring in these guys, there's talks about either trading Brassard and Sheehan to the Columbus Blue Jackets because they need cap. It'll be cap relief, and the Blue Jackets need a centerman like Brassard, or if they're going to target Bobrovsky and Panarin at the end of the season as UFAs. But the report that just came out kind of yesterday, I believe, was that the Panthers want to trade for Sergei Bobrovsky because then you can sign him to an 8-year extension. If a UFA goes to free agency and is on your team going into free agency, you can sign him to an 8-year extension. If you're a completely unrelated team, you can only sign him for 7. That's why John Tavares only signed for 7 years with the Toronto Maple Leafs, was because he was not a member of the Toronto Maple Leafs before he hit free agency, where he would have been able to sign for 8 if he was a New York Islander this year. Of course, why would you want to stay with the New York Islanders? Great question. If you ask an Islanders fan, they would probably freak out and say, wow, we're doing pretty good this year, and they would just lose it. Of course, the Islanders are first in the Metropolitan Division, but we're not talking about them right now. It'll be interesting to see, for me at least, what happens here. It'll be like the first time I've ever seen it where a team in a playoff spot still playing good sells. And sells a lot. St. Louis did it last year. But I just can't, like, if you're Columbus, you got to sell. You got to get some return back. And I don't know if Florida has the young guys to sell for that. To sell what it's going to take to get Bobrovsky or Panarin or both. To get both, I don't know how they do that. You would have to send 2 first-round picks over, at least. And then whatever prospects you have. I don't know if Florida has good prospects or not. But now the prospect of something else, of an offer sheet, it has taken over the NHL media and all its reporters the past couple weeks. Past couple months, actually. And it gets kind of sickening, I'll be honest. I'm getting tired of hearing it. And of course, the Toronto Maple Leafs, at the foreground, at the front of every media center, is the main target for these offer sheets, or reported offer sheets. And of course, that's Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews, who are set to become RFAs at the end of the season. Now, for those that don't know, I guess I should explain. An offer sheet, you essentially, you can offer sheet any RFA from any team, and you can say, we would pay this guy like $8 million. The team that player's with has the opportunity to match it or not. If they match it, then it's up to the player who they sign with. If the player signs with the team that's not their original team gets compensation. It's just draft picks. And the more money that you sign the player to, the more draft picks and the higher up the draft picks are. So for what they're talking about, Mitch Marner getting offer sheeted, which would be like $9-10 million, it's at least 1 or 2 first-round picks, I believe. But if it's over $10 million, I believe it's 4 first-round picks, and you have to be able to give those up. Now, that's a lot of money to offer sheet. And there is nothing saying the player doesn't have to sign the offer sheet. The player could just go, no, I don't care if they want to stay with the team. If you're a Leafs fan and if you're Kyle Dubas and the Toronto Maple Leafs, you're hoping that Mitch Marner, you're not hoping he gets offer sheeted, but you're hoping he just ignores the offer sheet and goes, Toronto is my home. Of course, the contract of Marner won't be discussed until after the season. His agent has made that very clear that he doesn't want to talk about it during the season. Now, if you're Austin Matthews, it is rumored he's going to sign in the next couple of days, so it kind of gets rid of the offer sheet. And it makes things kind of easier for Kyle Dubas, who only has to re-sign Mitch Marner. Now, I shouldn't say that. He would also have to re-sign Andreas Johnsson and Kasperi Kapanen at the end of the season, who it's kind of come up a little bit in the media that why don't teams offer sheet him, Kasperi Kapanen or Andreas Johnsson, offer them $5 million? Because the Leafs can't pay them $5 million. It's just not going to happen. They don't have enough cap room to pay that. So you would take a guy like that, and it doesn't. $5 million, I think, doesn't cost you a lot of draft picks. I believe it's a second, or a couple seconds, something like that. It's not a high price for what it is, and it's Kasperi Kapanen, who's a very good player, or has been playing very good in the Leafs. Of course, hasn't scored a goal in his last 14, now 15. Andreas Johnsson, of course, had a great game last night, 4 points. I forgot to talk about Leafs won 6-1 against the Anaheim Ducks last night. They beat Pittsburgh on Saturday night. I believe the score was 5-4, I believe, and they lost to Detroit on Friday night 3-2 in overtime, I believe. Excuse me there. But yeah, for the Leafs right now, offer sheets are the main talk, and it's sick. It just gets really boring after a while. At least I'm kind of bored of it. Most people in hockey media are bored of it, and but it's something that there's a very good chance could happen. If not to the Leafs, to other people. Patrick Laine's an RFA. Sebastian Aho, Kyle Connor, Mikko Rantanen, Braden Point. There's a lot of good RFAs, and it's not just the Leafs. And an offer sheet hasn't really happened since Dustin Penner and the Edmonton Oilers. Actually, what happened with Shea Weber and the Philadelphia Flyers? Shea Weber almost became a Philadelphia Flyer. Nashville signed it. That's why Shea Weber's on that huge contract in Montreal. But offer sheets just aren't a thing that happen a lot. And I know the threat has come up this season, and it'll be interesting to see if it actually happens. But we're just going to have to wait and see because that's this offseason, and that's a piece away. But right now, we're going to go for a quick break here from your sports break. It's still 0 degrees, not the nicest weather, but we'll be right back here for your sports break here, ladies and gentlemen, for your Sports Break broadcast on 92.7 C Triple FM here in Peterborough, Canada. At, of course, the wonderful facilities here at Trent Radio. The weather outside still is 0 degrees. Feels like 2 to me. Cloudy, overcast, crappy. Today, I just kind of found out on the break here, I was going through Twitter, is the day of birthdays. And we're going to play a clip here. I know we just came off a song, but it's a quick clip of one guy's birthday, and we'll see if it makes sense as the clip plays here.
And stay a professional and pitch his game. 1 ball and no strikes. Aaron waiting. The outfield deep and straight away. Fastball is a high drive into deep left center field. Buckner goes back to the fence. It is gone.
I'll be honest, the clip didn't play the audio that I wanted. There's an amazing Vince Scully calling Hank Aaron's historic home run. He goes, "We have a new home run champion of all time, and his name is Henry Aaron's." Yeah, it's Hank Aaron's birthday today. He's 85 years old today. Happy birthday to Hank Aaron. And if you watch Hockey Night in Canada, we're going to talk about baseball here in a second, but if you watch Hockey Night in Canada, you know of a little guy, not little, he's pretty big. He's got a big personality by the name of Don Rock'em Sock'em Cherry. Don Grapes Cherry. Well, today is Don Cherry's birthday. He's 85 years old as well. Whether you like Coach's Corner or not, I'm not a huge fan of Coach's Corner, I'll be completely honest. Haven't been for a couple years now. Whether you're, like I said, whether you're a fan of it or not, Don Cherry's an icon in Canadian sports, in Canadian history, actually, in NHL history. So happy birthday, Don Cherry. If you get a chance, wish him a happy birthday on Twitter. I'm sure it would mean a lot to Don Cherry. I don't know what else he's got going for him nowadays. I shouldn't say it like that. But it is his birthday. Just wish Don Cherry a happy birthday. That's all I'm going to say on that. But to baseball now. And it is so close to baseball time, ladies and gentlemen. It's right around the corner. Pitchers and catchers report this week. In 5 days, which is wrong. It's 7 days, actually. It's a week from now, the 12th. I did my math completely wrong. The Oakland oh no, it's the 10th. Yeah. No, that's right. 5 days from now. The 10th, which is Sunday. Pitchers and catchers report in Oakland. They're the first to have their pitchers and catchers report. Whatever. I'm not going to freak out about it. It's amazing for me because baseball's back. Of course, the MLB season doesn't start till the end of March. There's news going around. Of course, Bryce Harper and Manny Machado still have not signed an MLB contract, which, why would they? They want to be MLB players, but why would they sign a contract? Of course, last offseason, JD Martinez didn't sign until spring training. A lot of guys didn't sign until spring training. But right now, this offseason, the biggest contract signing, I believe, is Patrick Corbin with the Washington Nationals. And that's kind of sad because, it's Bryce Harper and Manny Machado. And you kind of thought they would sign quicker and do huge deals. But the rumor right now, is that the San Diego Padres, who have just been mediocre as long as I've been watching baseball, since 2012. I shouldn't say mediocre, they just haven't won. They're not great teams. Are in on Manny Machado and Bryce Harper, and they would actually prefer Bryce Harper over Manny Machado. Of course, the San Diego Padres have an amazing prospect in the name of Fernando. I'm going to butcher it. Tatis Jr. is what I'm going to call him. I apologize for saying that wrong, but he's an amazing shortstop prospect. He's right behind Vlad Guerrero Jr. for the first prospect in baseball. Not a big deal. Blue Jays, we got flat first. But they don't need another shortstop, and I don't think they need another third baseman. So they're going to go for an outfielder in Bryce Harper. They're going to try to get him. Now you may wonder, why would the Padres want a player like that? They signed Eric Hosmer last offseason, and it just didn't go well. And it hasn't gone well in the past for the Padres signing guys. Of course, James Shields, they signed a 4-year, $75 million contract. He was trash. They traded for Justin Upton, Matt Kemp, Will Myers, Craig Kimbrell, and BJ Upton. And it just didn't work out well for them, and it hasn't yet. Of course, all of these trades. But they've got the money. They haven't paid anybody yet. They don't have to yet, at least. For Fernando coming up yet, and all these younger guys coming up. They don't have to pay them yet. They got Ian Kinsler this offseason already. But it would just be interesting to see them sign with the San Diego Padres. And if all else fails, it's just kind of a laughing thing that Harper or Machado or both could do. They could just go, yeah, we signed with the Padres. What are you going to do about it? And I think that'd be kind of funny. It would just be like, yeah, we could have signed with the Yankees or the Dodgers or the Nationals or the Brady, like all the other teams. We'll sign with the Padres, who haven't been good in forever. So all the news that comes out of that is still there's no news coming to do with the Harper and Machado fronts. We're still going to be waiting a while on that. Probably until spring training, the middle of spring training, because right now it's pitch pitchers and catchers. Late next week and early 2 weeks from now, when I'm on reading week, actually, players fully report, and spring training will start. Hopefully they're on a team by then, and we can just get this done and over with. I know there's a lot of players that are waiting for those two to sign, so other teams will contact them. And kind of like last offseason, there's a lot of guys that could run out of jobs, and it's just sad to see these guys that everyone loves that aren't going to get signed because they're older, and maybe they want more money because they have never got paid a lot of money. So they think they deserve all this money, and they're just not going to get it. And that's where sports is going now. That's where baseball is going. I shouldn't say sports. One thing this week that kind of frazzled people, it was actually late Tuesday. The Red Sox signed right-handed reliever Henry Mejia to a minor league deal. If you kind of remember him, he used to be the New York Mets closer, but he was banned from baseball for life after testing positive for performance-enhancing drugs on 3 separate occasions before he was reinstated last summer. A lot of people weren't happy. He's only 29 years old. He was first suspended in 2015. After returning from the 80-game ban, he was penalized again for testing positive and handed a 162-game suspension. And while he was served that suspension, he tested positive for a third time. Now, a lot of MLB players have kind of made it known that they're not happy. Justin Verlander is a huge one. Just kind of like freaking out. Not freaking out, but like just saying, like, if you test positive, you shouldn't be allowed to play. You shouldn't be allowed to affect games while appealing. A player by the name of Peter Moylan, who was on a contract last year with the Atlanta Braves. He played 12 seasons, is a free agent right now, and could get signed still, but is kind of frustrated because, while he played the game the right way, and he doesn't have a contract, but this guy who's played the game the wrong way and has played it dirty is under contract now, which I can understand. Like, if you're that kind of guy and you're like, I deserve to be playing, and you're not, like, over this guy who's cheated and was banned from baseball. That's the thing that gets me, is he was banned from baseball, and the league was like, yeah, you were, but you're not anymore. Kind of tomfoolery by the league. But if you remember, this is going back now. 2015, ALDS, Toronto Blue Jays, Texas Rangers, Game 5, 7th inning, Jose Bautista, amazing home run, wins the game for the Blue Jays. That little ball that he hit, it was just put up on auction, and it just made a fair bit of money. And by fair bit, you might be like, oh, what did you make, like $1,000 or $2,000 off that? No, the person that sold it for $28,252.80. Got to get the 80 cents in there. But very expensive baseball for the Jose Bautista drive. For the Jose Bautista home run. Oh, I was going to play here. That's loud. We'll play, like the Jose Bautista home run. course, the bat flip. The bat ended up on top of the Rogers Center. He flipped it so high. Didn't actually, but you know what I'm saying. $28,000 for that ball. Insane. I'm hoping the guy who bought it isn't a Toronto Blue Jays fan and not just somebody that's going to, like, try to sell the ball again. I don't know if I'd ever sell that ball. $28,000 is a lot of money, but it's not. Like, for a ball like that to keep, like, you point to the ball, like, that's the ball Jose Bautista hit, that the Blue Jays won Game 5. And maybe in 16 years, that doesn't matter. So you do sell it. But it's only been 4 years now. I guess it's 2019. 4 years since it happened. I don't know. It's up to everyone else. I can't remember if I talked about this before, but the Toronto Blue Jays signed infielder Freddie Galvis to a 1-year contract.